Alright, let's do this. Mesa, the sharpshooter, the aimbot, the DPS queen. Her mere presence alone causes guns to jam. And of course, she does not believe in reloading. Even if some of you might say that she's been nerfed since more than 10 years ago, let's be honest, she's still one of the many frames people get addicted to. Hey everyone, it's your boy Yutiply, and today I'll be sharing a personal Mesa build for y'all to have fun. And yes, we'll be starting off the year with a new model, but without further ado, let's dive right into what we know about Mesa. Alright, her first ability is Ballistic Battery. When you activate it, you basically can store damage caused by any guns that you use. And by tapping the ability again, you can release those stored damage on your next shot. And of course, it can be further enhanced with final crit chance if you have Ballistic Bullseye. Now this build is quite popular with that one Citadel Mesa build that just clears the entire room with a single alternative fire. But we're not talking about that today because you can find that build anywhere, I think. Alright, next we have Shooting Gallery. Now with this ability here, it does not just jam the guns of enemies nearby, it also gives you damage buff. Apparently this also applies to melee weapon, but we're talking about the Gunslinger Warframe here, so get that out of here. Next we got Shatter Shield. It basically summons a barrier that reflects bullets back at enemies who shoots you. But it does not make you completely invincible like Rhino's Iron Skin. Basically you can still die even if it's on. But hey, at least it gives you a lot of damage reduction. Finally, Peacemaker. This shit was so broken back then that you can just activate it and just put something on your left click and just watch enemies die left and right, even if you're not looking at them. But nowadays, this ability requires you to at least look at the enemy's direction, which isn't that bad. However, I do not enjoy having my movement being paused out of nowhere when activating this ability, because it leaves myself wide open for enemies to shoot. So to fix this problem, I use the augment Mesa's Waltz, which is a must nowadays. Not only it allows you to walk menacingly while shooting at the enemies, but it also allows you to roll. And you know what that means? If you can roll, you can rolling guard. But boy, does it feel good to throw yourself in midair and shoot everyone dead on sight. Yes, I know I mentioned about Ballistic Bullseye Augment earlier, so but I kind of want my Mesa to be more independent with her abilities alone without relying on any other weapons. So right off the bat, Ballistic Battery will be the ability I would swap out with any other different Helminth ability. So which Helminth abilities would go well with Mesa's kit? Well, you can either have Eclipse or Roar for overall damage boost, or you can have No-Cost Mushroom to have Mesa bounce up and down on it and constantly getting energy while using her Forth. But to me personally, I like Grendel's Nourish. Not only it boosts my regulators with viral damage bonus, but it also increased effectiveness on energy orb and health orbs. This goes really well if you have Equilibrium on, because this would make any Eximus enemies your best friend. If you kill them, they'll provide enough orbs for you to instantly fill up most of your energy bar. So that solves both energy problem and also damage boost. So here's my main build for Mesa. Since we are using Nourish, you can have low ability efficiency without worrying about energy problem, so feel free to slap Blind Rage in. And yes, Adaptation and Rolling Guard together is another bit anti-synergy. Well, yeah, but then again, if you think about it, there are a lot of game modes like these exist nowadays. It wouldn't hurt to have more than one layer of protection. Oh, and if you can't afford a max Arcane Hotshot, don't worry, I got you! Just swap out the Aura mod to Combat Discipline and replace Hotshot with Arcane Avenger. This is like a, I wouldn't say outdated, but it's still a good alternative. But basically how it works is every time you kill enemies, you decrease your health. And by doing that, you can trigger Arcane Avenger for the crit chance buff. But still, Hotshot is the best options nowadays. As for the second arcane, we are using Arcane Velocity for the fire rate upon landing crit. This helps with your regulator's overall DPS. The more fire rate you have, the better the DPS is. This is very crucial. Now for the mods in the regulators, now the elementals composition here is very important. I'll explain later on, but for now I'm running with corrosive and heat build and some fire rate. And combined with Nourish, your regulators are basically shooting both corrosive and viral and heat damage. That's like 3 different elements right there. And yeah, the Arcane's choice is very simple. If you want more DPS, you can either go with secondary Merciless or secondary Enervate, which is the best one for damage wise. But personally, I prefer a secondary Fortifier more. This thing saved my ass countless time in most of the endgame contents. Because once you have secondary Fortifier equipped, not only Eximus provide you with the orbs to fill your energy up, but you can also steal their overguard up to 15,000, which is crazy. So yeah, combined with the rolling guard and adaptation and shatter shield from earlier, that kind of gives the Mesa up to 4 layers of protection. Now we move on to the Archon Shards. Now remember when I said that the elemental composition on regulators build is important? It matters here because with 2 green shards to increase the corrosive stacks, you can armor strip enemies with your regulators. And thanks to the heat damage, you combine it with triple orange shard, you can basically kill a certain amount of enemies to stack your crit chance for regulators up until 224%, giving you the addicting red crit gameplay right here. Well, most of the time, Mesa do not really need a pet, but if you somehow have an Adarza Kavat lying around, it is the best option for Mesa. Because this Kavat is known for boosting overall crit value, I would say it would increase Mesa's overall DPS by double or more. So here's the build. Yes, I know I'm a Legendary 5 player and I do not have Prime Animal Instinct, but that's not important. What matters is the Cat's Eyes for crit chance buff, Tenacious Bond for crit damage buff. Remember to keep your claws above 50% crit chance at least. Reinforced Bond for boosting another 60% to your fire rate. And Tech Enhance to make those buffs last longer. So with all that, depending on which arcane you use on your regulators, you got yourself a hybrid Mesa that is both tank and DPS, good for survivability and clearing high level contents of enemies. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Someone requested to see my John Warframe loadout build, so incoming! Anyway, with that out of the way, I will be making another poll on my community tab where you can vote for which one of my favorite Warframe you'd like to see the build next. So yeah, don't forget to drop by and vote after this. Bye bye!